I called you up and said, come on in, let's talk about being the band leader for the show.
That's right.
You asked me a very interesting question back first.
Yeah, I asked you if you would come down to New Orleans, my hometown,
Right.
and see my parents.
Exactly.
Have red beans and rice with us.
Exactly. See something, learn something.
Yeah. And that's how real he is, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most talented guys in the game, true to form, true to the art, true to the culture, has done so much in his career and has been real subtle in his accomplishments, Tracy G. And I got a chance to meet him at the Stephen Colbert Show when my good friend Taylor Bennett actually did a live performance, man. And this guy, man, he's the awarded. He's received so many awards, and he's made so many accomplishments, and he's a Grammy-nominated pianist, a band leader. He's done, I can't even name these, awarded the American Jazz Museum Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
He was included in the 2016 Forbes 30 Under 30 music list, the recipient of the Harry Chapin ASCAP Humanitarian Award, and the Movado Future Legend Award. I mean, it goes on, and his family bloodline is jazz royalty, and he's here with us today, the one and only Jon Batiste, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
New Orleans finest.
Welcome.
Come on, Sway.
Come on.
Come on.
New Orleans finest.
We in the vibe.
We in the vibe.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
This nigga's so happy to be here. I
Nah,
love
man,
it.
I'm happy here because when we met, I was like, "Yo, man, come up on the show."
Yeah. See, we made it happen.
And we
See,
made it
You're a
happen.
man of your word.
Man, absolutely, and you're a man of your word because
You know?
it's sometimes I think people think when they see you on TV, you're on tour, you're playing at the Grammys, you're playing at the NBA All-Star Game, you're at the U.S. Open, you're doing all these different things, and people think that you're inaccessible, but sometimes it's as easy as asking.
You just gotta go, hey man, let's do something dope. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
You gotta just make something great with your life. Cause we here for a short while, right?
Yeah.
So I've been admiring you, watching you since I was young, and I really love what you do and the conversations you have and the way that you open people up. And you know how it is. You get into a flow.
Yeah.
It's like a flow state. Your day. You know, I grew up watching people work.
Yes.
Go to work.
Go to work.
Monday through Friday. We happen to just be able to go to work and talk to fascinating people and the most mind-blowing people in the world we can collaborate with, and that's a beautiful thing. But anytime I can sit down and do this is a blessing.
Oh, man, I
It's
love
a
having
blessing.
you, Jon Batiste, ladies and gentlemen. Your family, I know about your family, but I
yeah.
like to hear you talk about your family for the listeners who may not know about this royal family of jazz. Can you speak on some of them?
Yeah. I mean, my dad, you know, he was my first musical mentor. And I grew up, he had 6 brothers, and they had a band. And then with the family band, that was the brothers mainly. But then I had some older cousins who were also in the family band. They were like uncles to me because I was the youngest at the time. And it was about 30 cousins. And so being the youngest of like 30 people, you just absorbing all the stuff. You watching all the stuff. It's like a tribe. So, you know, and that's just my family. But my extended family, you know, second cousins, you know, it goes back to Harold Batiste, who produced for Patti LaBelle.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
Lionel.
Alan Toussaint. Yeah, Lionel Batiste.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. Olympia Brass Band, Milton Batiste, one of the first, when you hear those marching processional bands, one of the original, like the OGs.
The original.
Yeah, second line music. Mardi Gras music, man, it's so much music that I was blessed to be born into. And I just watched. You know, I was young at the time, you know, coming up. I was very quiet, so I would just watch and check out what people were doing. And then by the time I started playing piano, I was 11. I kind of started late. But I started on drums first, but there were so many drummers in the family already. We tried to start the junior band.
Okay.
In the junior band, you can't have 3-4 drummers in the band.
Right.
So did y'all have to? But see, when you play instruments, if you're in
Yeah.
school, you kind of gotta compete for that first chair. Did y'all have to compete?
Oh yeah. Well, at the time, since I was younger, my older cousin was like the best one. So it was clear that he was gonna stay on the drums. We had to figure something else out.
Okay.
Jamal was the one.
Jamal was the one.
And Travis was there too. So like Jamal, they had it. But Travis was so talented, he already played bass already. So he picked up the bass. Jamal was on the drums. I was like, man, let me get this piano. My mom actually, she was like, yo, you should check out the piano.
Your mom gave you that advice.
Yeah, that intuition.
She knew
that thing. Ooh, that's the money maker.
And you paid her back by bringing Stephen Colbert home for beans and rice.
Yeah,
There it is. I ain't mad at that.
we really did that.
He really came to the house.
He really came to the house. He came to the house. I grew up So I grew up just outside of New Orleans, well, between New Orleans and Holly Grove. So in Kenner, Louisiana, where the airport is. So when you land in Kenner and they say New Orleans International, that's actually Kenner.
Okay.
But Kenner's so small,
Wow.
they just call it New Orleans. So I kind of grew. He came to Kenner.
Stephen Colbert came to Kenner. What was he like when the camera's off?
Man, he just same, really. It's crazy.
He's that funny?
He's like he's a very brilliant person.
Okay.
You know, it's somebody who's a genuine person as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who have a persona when the camera on,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the camera go off, they're another person.
Right.
It's like a whole nother thing. Whereas some people, they just like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he really is like that. Like he's born to be up there on stage doing what he's doing. Like he's in the perfect spot. He met his destiny.
He met his destiny. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing to meet your destiny. Do you have to, because his show is very politically charged, do you have to answer for his political views a lot?
You know, that's interesting because my role on the show, and we talked about this even before all of the stuff that's happened politically in the last few years, but he was really coming to me. We had a long conversation after we first kind of talked about doing the show together.
Mm-hmm.
It was not really audition. He just came to me and said, you know, we just met maybe a few months back. I feel like it's a synergy. I want to spend some time with you on stage. I want to do a show about joy and bringing people together. And I feel like you can balance all of the stuff that goes on in the world with your energy. You just have an energy that I
True.
want to just put in the atmosphere of the show to kind of help to balance it. So I kind of see that as my role. You know, he called it the joy machine at the time.
The joy machine.
Approach everything with joy. You could approach every single issue in your life with a spirit of gratitude and joy, or you could approach it with dread. But either way, you're going to still have to approach it. It's going to come to you. Whatever you got to deal with, you're going to have to deal with it. So I feel like I'm not thinking about the show from a political perspective. I'm thinking about it more like, let me just bring this energy. You know, I have the blessing of being able to transmit a certain energy through music. So let me just do that. And, you know, it's invited me to have an opinion about politics, which I wasn't really that into. And now I'm fully engaged and understand every aspect of it.
Yeah, because you're there every day.
Every day. I'm in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of, when I'm not at the show, I unplug from it.
Okay.
Because I know what's happening with that, and it's more me doing spiritual maintenance. I gotta keep my vessel. Boom, we gonna hit them. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to keep your
You know?
vessel clear. I ain't mad at that. Jon Batiste is here. So much I want to ask you about.
Sway in the morning,
yeah, man,
sway
you
in
gonna
the
sway the
morning.
party, baby.
Come
you
on, man.
You're a citizen, man. You're a
Sway in the
citizen,
morning.
baby. Yo, jazz. Let's talk about jazz a little bit.
Job ready.
Christian Scott.
Oh yeah, homie.
That's a good friend of mine who's been on the show here.
Yes.
He's played live. I've known him for years. Robert Glasper.
Yes. One of the greats.
Yes,
One of the great,
indeed.
one of the greats. And he's an imposter when it comes to freestyling. In terms of lyrically, he's been fooling the world. Who else? Elena. Pender.
Atlanta Penderhughes.
Penderhughes. You know,
Yes.
all of these young representations of how jazz has progressed and what it is today for this generation. You know, I was talking with DB about this because we just had Ugly God in here who's, you know, he's not from my era necessarily.
Yeah.
We're all from the same era with breathing.
Right.
Okay? Right?
Hey,
but he came up
absolutely.
at a different time.
Right.
And I remember when his movement and most SoundCloud artists movement was happening, there was a lot of people saying, man, they're abandoning the principles and the basic fundamentals of what
Right.
hip-hop music is supposed to be, what it's supposed to sound like. What is that they're doing? That's different. They're mumbling, you know,
Right,
all this different
right.
stuff. In jazz, do you guys deal with that same conversation, or is it more supportive?
You know, it's interesting because it depends on who you come across. But in general, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like, you know how right now they have this debate of the top 50
rappers
of all time.
Right.
It's happening. That's been happening with Miles and Coltrane for the last 50 years, and everybody from that classic era of jazz, and people really trying to define, okay, who is the main the great, the one who defined what jazz is. What is jazz? That's really the question people are asking, like, are still worried about. But I think our generation and generation coming up younger, you know, it's actually not a question for us. It's more, what do I want to do that's authentic to me?
Okay.
And there are purists and there are people who still want to define it and hold it. But I think the natural truth of music is that people will be authentic to who they are. And you can't hold that in. That's the transcendence of the human soul. You can't hold that. So we're going to make whatever we want to make. And people will say about it what they'll say. But I think we're starting to care less about what people will say about it.
Well, because if you really look back, you think Miles didn't go through the same thing?
Of course.
What is he doing? What is
Right.
that abstract, radical thing he's doing, right?
Right. Miles in the 80s when
Yeah.
he started to go or even Bitches Brew when he went and decided in the 70s he wanted to do something that played on all the sounds of psychedelic rock. Put the trumpet through a pedal.
Yeah.
Wah-wah pedal trumpet.
Yeah.
You know, people were like, man, just go back to what you were playing in the 50s and the 60s.
Go
Why
back.
you doing that? Go back.
They want you to go back.
That's not what artists are.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Artists
ain't-
don't do that.
They don't do that because then that means you asking me to repeat something I've already done. I moved on from that, learned from it. I'm not the same I was when I made that.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Art reflects the life of the artist and their experiences.
Yeah.
If I'm not living there right now, it ain't going to come out my instrument.
Yeah.
So I ain't going to try and fake it.
It's almost like sometimes you'll see people perform classics and it's not quite what it was when you heard it the first time.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
they're not quite who they were when they made it the first time. Jon Batiste is here. He has the new album, Anatomy of Angels, live at the Village Vanguard. It's out right now. We're going to play a song in a minute. I want to open up the phone lines, 888-742-3345. Tracy?
Yeah, John, I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm loving this conversation. And I do agree that
Yes.
artists are fortune tellers in a sense.
Absolutely.
And sometimes when you hear about the future and its forecasted, you don't like the sound of it. So I totally get that. I'm wondering off of Sway's point when he was comparing hip hop to jazz and talking about how you have some purists and then you have the present sound. I'm also wondering, hip hop we've seen become distracted a lot by drugs. Also a lot of the male artists by women. Do you guys within the jazz genre have to do with a lot of groupies doing shady business, a lot of alcohol abuse?
That's where it started.
wow.
But presently,
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I'm in this space where I'm getting to see a lot of different worlds. And it's very interesting because it's always the same issues. It's just on different levels. Like you deal with the same stuff.
yeah.
Jazz musicians complain about the industry and how things are changing and how people don't really understand what they're trying to say until it becomes the thing. Then when it's the thing, everybody's like, man, that's played out.
Right.
It's
That's crazy.
everything is in cycles. I really just believe everything kind of moves in like a 20-year cycle. And even when you look at hip hop, it's crazy because there's always a societal context that each cycle moves in, even if it's the soundtrack of a movement. Like you look at the drugs that also come along with specific moments in culture, and that affects the music. It's like a part of, like what you're saying is just a part of the cycle of creating
Hand
art.
in hand.
Art is birthed out of culture and people. So when people come together, there's all type of customs, whether it's the drugs, whether it's, you know, the social dynamics.
I like the way you put that.
You know, whatever it is, that's what creates the art. So you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. What's tried to distract you?
Man, I try to preemptively block myself from anything that's going to take me off my path. It's like I think about making decisions as almost a advanced thought. I'm thinking in advance of what things I will want to be doing. And I'm making a decision now so that when I'm in the future, I'm
Yeah.
doing that. So I think the things that really can distract, the only thing that can really get in my way is myself. And I try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
A lot of gems this morning. Jon Batiste is here. I invited
totally get
two of our friends. They work with Pandora, John, and they watch Stephen Colbert show. So they yeah. This J1 and Brian, they're big fans. They're gonna. I want to introduce you to them because they're gonna give you something that's gonna be beneficial to this project momentarily.
Oh,
okay,
snap.
they're gonna walk you through something that's gonna be extremely beneficial. You worked with a lot of great people. You work with Lenny Kravitz?
Oh yeah.
You work with Prince?
Yeah, great.
What was that experience like with Prince?
Man, I wish I was older at the time.
Okay.
So I could absorb it more. I absorbed a lot, but I was about 19 or 20, and he was doing a very short run of shows on the East Coast, and he had several different ensembles. He had 3 different ensembles. He had his band. He had the band of Maceo Parker, Larry Graham, and then he had us. And we were really the band of the great jazz vocalist Cassandra Wilson. And she was, one of my early mentors. She took me out on the road like when I was 19 or 20, going all over the world. So I was in this phase where I was just discovering all of this. It was one of my first times playing in an arena, first time playing in these big, huge concert halls, 5,000-6,000 people, 4 tiers. We just were out on the road, and it was just such a sensory overload that after it was done, I was like, man, this is really what I want to be doing. I was sure of that, but I picked up more the feeling of what that is, and seeing that level of greatness up close, and just seeing the way that he wanted to rehearse, and the way he talked to us, and the way that he kind of dealt with his people. It was just kind of like a flow that he created that made creativity very easy. And that was the thing I took. Like, you got to create a flow state.
He set the flow.
Yeah, it starts from him. It starts from you.
Yeah.
If you can create it, then it creates an environment of inspiration. So you got to figure out how to do that for whatever it is that you're trying to do.
You do that. When I went to see your show live, I noticed, I looked at everybody at the band, and they your energy set the tone, and then the whole band was partying.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all was hitting hard in between them breaks, too.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping people appreciated that. Damn, they hitting hard between this.
Oh, yeah.
You went to school with Trombone Shorty?
Oh, yeah. We went to, in fact, so Troy and I, we started a band when he was about 14, 15. I was 13. And this was one of the first times I started playing with my peers. And, the band was really just the 4 of us. It was me, Troy, Mike on bass, and then at the time it was Jonathan McCrae on drums. We call him Church Swing because he come from the gospel church. So we played this gig at the Maple Leaf, the Maple Leaf Bar on I think it's Wednesday nights, once a week, and that's really when we started figuring out, our sound. Like, we talking about your sound, putting together different elements of the music we grew up with. I grew up playing video games, so I played a lot of video game music that influenced my composition and my mind.
Wow.
Classical music, studying that, just putting it all together. So I've really been leading bands since I was about 14, 15 years old.
Wow. Damn, shit. But you started earlier. You've been surrounded by that this entire time.
Oh, yeah. It's really, like the energy comes from you. It's your vision. It's almost like you putting together a basketball team, and you got to get people in the right positions, and then you got to set up the offense and the defense. You got to understand this is what we have to accomplish to win. Every show is different, but we got to accomplish it together, or else we not going to win.
Jon Batiste giving up this game today. Treme, what was that like working on that series, that HBO series, Treme?
Oh, yeah. Treme was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool because we could just
watching. I used to watch it. So,
David Simon.
Yeah.
We did a few episodes. I was scoring and helped with the music, and also was a character in it playing myself, really, which was cool because I could just be who I was as a person on camera, and it worked. So that was really a good experience for me to get in front of the camera and also understand, how to see production from that side and see the end result and know what that road is. That was one of my first times really seeing that process from beginning to end. And also around that time, I got a chance to work with Spike and did some
Red
Spike.
Hook Summer, yep.
Red Hook Summer. It's just kind of that era was the era I learned about production.
Okay.
And understanding,
yeah.
What is this?
The bigger picture of what's really a production, what's
Right.
really a producer.
What? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or a director. How? Like, why? Why is a director important?
So all of this information that you've acquired over the years, how did that inform Anatomy of Angels live at the Village Vanguard and the songs that you wrote and performed on this project?
Man, it's honestly, this was a record that I wanted to get back to the basic idea of jazz from my perspective of it. And I like to call this celestial jazz because it's really creating structures that every single time we play them, they're different, but the structures are the same.
Okay.
And how we get through them is really about us keying into the same spirit of whatever is in the room, the energy that the audience gives us. We give it right back to them. And we play, the Vanguard's a very legendary small room, 100 people max could fit in there. And we played there for 6 nights straight. And that energy of building that up and keying in with all of the different people that came through and really being that in that intimate space, that took it to this zone that you can't really get to when you're playing in like these big places, or if you on TV, or you're in a space where there's so much production that you can't be spontaneous in that way. So really it was more like a spiritual experience. And when you hit a record, you could key into just how much we communicating just a millisecond at a time with each other about, okay, let's go here. Let's shift it here. Okay, now let's go free. Let's abandon the form. Okay, back to the structure now. Okay, now it's your turn. So it's like a conversation that's happening in real time. And I really wanted to make a record of that because this band is just like, it's amazing, man. This band, you got to check it out.
Jon Batiste, 888-742-3345. You want to talk to him, give us a call. It's Anatomy of Angels. Sway in the morning, Shade 45. Keep that playing in the background. Yes, Anatomy of Angels, Jon Batiste. Live at the Village Vanguard. It's out now. Do yourself a favor, stream this one.
Yep.
Yeah, Daryl's in Iowa. Good morning, Daryl.
Hey, Daryl.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Doing well, man. Say hello to Jon Batiste.
Hey.
Yes. This is John. Hey, it's great to hear you. I watch you every night. One of my favorite episodes of you was with Thundercat, with them changes. Today's my 30th birthday, so it's an honor to be here on Sway in the. It's an honor to be on Sway in the morning and have to be Tracy G's.
Happy
Sway,
birthday,
DJ
love.
Wonder.
Happy born, Daryl.
Yes,
Be
happy
great
birthday.
today, man.
Yes.
And get the project, Anatomy of Angels, live at the Village Vanguard. John, what's your social, too? Give people your social.
Jon Batiste, JONBATISTE, no P.
All right, top 5 jazz musicians on your list are.
Woo, okay.
10, give me 10.
All right.
Gotta go fast, too.
Nina Simone,
Boom.
Thelonious Monk, Duke Ellington, got to put Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker. Let me put Roy Hargrove. Let me put Cassandra Wilson. Let me put Betty Carter.
Okay.
And then
Coltrane.
One more. Oh yeah,
Okay.
John Coltrane.
Okay.
John Coltrane. Yeah.
Okay, so like
Definitely.
skipped over Miles. I don't know what that was about, but go ahead, do your thing, baby. It's your list. Tito somewhere tripping too. Tito Puente is like, what about me?
Yeah, I put Arturo in there.
Arturo. Ooh,
Yeah.
Arturo. All right, listen, Jon Batiste, you obviously have to come back on the show.
Yes, indeed.
We gonna roll with it.
Yeah, let's roll.
for sure.
Next time, come live. Bring a band,
we should do that.
and I'll bring
That'd
some
be-
MCs.
Oh, man.
Wow.
We gotta
And
bring
singers.
wine.
Wow.
You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
You wanna do
That'd
that?
be fire.
We could do this. My people from Pandora. Maybe we could do some type of capture with it with Pandora.
Yeah.
Part of
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
And
make
then
that
that can
happen.
be on our
Yes.
podcast on Pandora.
That's right. We got a podcast.
Whoa, snap.
Damn, John. Hey, real quick before you go, and the reason why I asked these guys to come in because I think jazz. I love jazz. I grew up listening to jazz. That's what soul and jazz, which I kind of think is all the same lineage.
It
I don't
is.
know why we separated, but that's what I grew up in my house. You know why we divide.
Why?
We didn't divide when I was a kid, and my mother was just playing, going from Miles to Earth, Wind and Fire, or
Right.
James. You know,
Oh, exactly.
It was all the same. John Coltrane, whoever it was, being played in my house.
Yeah, we got to get back to that.
But I feel like jazz doesn't get enough exposure. Perhaps people in jazz love it that way, but I also think people who are in jazz should utilize all the tools that are at the disposal. That's why I wanted to introduce these guys, and this isn't a commercial, but I told them yesterday, man, I got Jon Batiste coming by. He should be doing some of these features on Pandora.
Yep.
This is Brian. It's J1 right here.
Yeah.
Okay, explain to him some of the things, and to any artist that is out there right now, some great things going on with Pandora. Some great artist-friendly features that you could utilize. You could monitor your own metrics. You could create your own story. People like Jeezy got over 3 billion streams on Pandora. DJ Drama got over 1 million streams on Pandora. It's a way you can do
billion
it.
with a B.
Billion. I said billion. My bad. Billion. My bad.
Lay it out.
B. So what would you suggest? Walk John through a process real quick if you can.
Yeah, sure. So first, I think let's start by from a high level. Think about the fact that the way fans engage with artists is increasingly through DSPs, right? Through digital service providers. And what Pandora has done that's really unique is created a set of tools that enable you to talk to your fans, and has a set of tools so that you can look at the data and really dive into the details, understand who your audience is, who your fans are, and then communicate with them. And it's really one of the reasons why I feel like I'm an artist advocate at my core. Like that's who I am. And with what Pandora has been able to do is to enable great artists like yourself to be able to build on the fans that you have, get new ones, and make sure people know about what's going on, and then connect them and let them know about like tours that you've got going on, let them know about merch, let them know about your new music. And you can do there's a few really unique ways to do that. And without going into crazy detail, there's a platform called Next Big Sound that allows you to look in great detail about where your music is streaming, who's listening to it, what tracks are happening, what other music people are listening to in addition to you, all that kind of like incredible data. And then you can take that information and then using a set of tools called AMP, which is the artist marketing platform, you can message your fans. So much like you do a drop for Sway, you can do a drop that plays to your fans. It's called an artist audio message. Yo, what's up?
I'm giving
It's
you
Jon
game.
Oh, I see.
Game.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yo,
I got you, brother. Come on. I want this project to grow.
Yeah. So you can message your fans and tell them about the new music that you've got, and it plays to your fans on the platforms, and you can say, hey, I'm going on tour. Tap the link on your screen for tickets, and you can drive people there. They can pre-order the album, all kinds of cool stuff.
That's what's up.
All right.
Yeah.
You just got to go on Pandora.
Yeah, Pandora.
You always forget to tell them the best part.
Oh, yeah, man, my bad. Jay, please.
Go ahead.
It's all free.
Right.
There you go.
That is a great part.
There you go.
Jay be keeping me in line.
That's the bit.
I like that at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
See,
all
like,
free.
It's all
Save
free.
the
It's
best
all
for
free,
last.
man.
John, can I invite you back up to this show, man?
Definitely.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's keep doing it, though.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing it.
Oh, I'm with it. I'm with it.
I love your energy.
We got to do it.
Okay. I love your conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely. And I love this project, Anatomy of Angels, live at the Village Vanguard. It's out now.
Woo!
You can see John on the Stephen Colbert Show Monday through Friday. Are you touring?
Oh, yeah. We touring. We playing Global Citizens Festival. And we playing the Call Out that same week
Wow.
in September.
I can't wait to see you
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know I'm getting tickets. All right, John, thank you for coming through. Y'all can hit him directly at Jon Batiste, Batiste.
Yes, indeed.
And I want to end with a song called The Very Thought of You featuring Rachel Price, written by Ray Noble on the Anatomy of Angels live at the Village Vanguard album, Jon Batiste. And we have nothing left to say.